I want to welcome our speakers, those guests who are here in person, as well as those who are joining us online. Tonight's presentation, Huskie Refugees at NIU, is the final program in the series developed by the Center for Burma Studies staff in conjunction with the exhibition, The Art of Surviving, The Journey of the Karen Refugee in Illinois. Currently on view at the NIU Art Museum, along with Refuge and Refugee, both running through November 12th. Those who are here in person tonight may wish to go view the exhibitions after this presentation. The exhibitions and programs of the NIU Art Museum are sponsored in part by the Illinois Arts Council Agency, the Friends of the NIU Art Museum, the NIU Arts and Culture Fee, and the College of Visual and Performing Arts season presenting sponsor, Shaw Media. The Art of Surviving, The Journey of the Karen Refugee in Illinois, is funded in part from a grant from the Henry Luce Foundation. Tonight's presentation is being recorded so that you may share it or watch it again. It will be captioned and posted later to the College of Visual and Performing Arts YouTube channel, accessible from the museum's website. A special thank you for marketing and technical support from the NIU Center for Southeast Asian Studies, Assistant Director Eric Jones, Graduate Assistants Aka Cho and Matt Wersler, and Communications Director Liz Denius for assisting with this series and with tonight's presentation. The chat function will be monitored for questions and feedback. Online attendees are asked to stay muted until we get to the Q&A portion of tonight's presentation. It is my honor to introduce my beloved colleague and regular guest curator, recipient of the Presidential Engagement and Partnership Professorship, Director of the Center for Burma Studies, Curator for the Burma Art Collection at NIU, and Professor of Art History in the NIU School of Art and Design, Catherine Raymond. Tonight, she will present one of her former students who will then lead the discussion with our Huskie refugees. Please join me in welcoming Madame le Professeur Catherine Raymond.
I'm not supposed to look at, yes.
You don't have to, you can look at
I looked at myself. It's pretty narcissistic. It is really my pleasure and my honor to welcome the three of you to give a voice here at NIU of this community. It is my honor also to recognize Carla Finlay, former student in anthropology, who has been writing her MA thesis and working with the Karen communities in Aurora for more than a decade. She has a personal connection with each of them. She welcomed them when they arrived in Illinois. And Carla was really instrumental in introducing Lemu, a future Huskie, during the pandemic. He was already expert in all kinds of skills, especially in sewing and making beautiful masks. This is when I met Lemu for the first time. Since then, he's becoming really integral part of our communities, as well as a part of the show and part of the Center for Burma Studies. It is also a pleasure to welcome Pese, who is a senior in finance. I think Carla will go more into detail, as well as Sepo, who is a sophomore in accounting. Each of them will tell you their story and their trajectory since they arrived in Illinois.
Hello. If you visited the exhibit, you know that there is a larger turret that has, it's called Huskie Refugees. And as I go into that room, I often tell somebody that I'm with that this is the room that connects the Karen refugees to NIU. This is why we have this room, because the Karen refugee story didn't just happen far, far away and to people you don't know in a time that is a long ago. These are actually students at NIU. They could be sitting next to you in class. And so in that room, we were able to, over the summer, take a picture of 5 Korean refugees, and we had some quotes from them. And this is the continuation of that. This is the connection of the Korean refugee story and what that means going forward. This is their lived experience. A few years ago on NIU, there was only 1 or 2 Korean refugees. A couple years, there was 3 or 4. Last year, there were 6, and this year there's at least 12. So the population is rising, and that has a lot to do with the timing. These students came over when they were young enough, and about 10 years ago, research says that it takes 5 to 8 years to achieve an academic level of English that you could succeed in a 4-year academic situation such as NIU. And so we are now seeing some Korean students at NIU for lots of reasons. And we've talked a lot. Dr. Raymond alluded that I've known Lemu since he was a little boy, since he was 9. And so it's been a pleasure to watch him. And I've been introduced to Paisei and Say Paul recently over the last few years, and we've talked several times, and I really do enjoy their company and their story. I'm afraid tonight, the questions that we ask, you may not get the full understanding of their story, the nuances, so I really hope that maybe you can ask more questions later. Originally, Suda was supposed to join us, but she is suffering from some sort of allergic reaction, is unable to join us. So we do have her answers that we may share at different times, but Sepa is joining us in her stead tonight. So first of all, I'm not going to do the introducing. I'm going to have them introduce themselves in the way that they want to. So we'll start with Lemu.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lei, and I'm a sophomore. Is it on?
Yes, but
Okay.
talk louder.
Okay, I'm a sophomore. My major right now is health science, but we'll be applying to nursing, and am applying. And I was born in Thailand refugee camp known as Ban Du Yen, and I've lived there for 9 years. And I came from the high school that I came from. That I transitioned from is Western High School.
Hi everyone, my name is Pei. Sorry. I'm a senior right now, and I am a finance major. Sorry, I'm nervous. So I came to the US in 2007, so I've been here for a little over 15 years. And the camp that I was born in is called Tamhan Camp in Thailand. I don't know I don't know where that is. And I actually went to the same high school as Lemu. I graduated a few years before him, though.
Hi, my name is Say Paul. I'm a sophomore and my major is accounting. I don't know where I was born. My parents told me that I was born like somewhere in between Burma and Thailand. They don't know where it is. But I was raised in a Thailand refugee camp called Melau, and I came here when I was 11 years old. That's in 2012, and I went to Rockford East High School.
And I'll just share Suda's bio a little bit. She was born in Thailand and resettled with her family in 2008 into Rockford. She's currently a senior at NIU, majoring in human resource management and minoring in Southeast Asia studies. So let's just get started with some of the questions. Each of you have spent time with this exhibit. Why is it important for you to have been involved in this project?
For me, I know it's because this exhibit took a long time, almost almost like 10 years. I know it's a long process, and it contains a lot of knowledgeable information about the Korean people and our culture. And in the history, it might not be us, but it talked about it contains our ancestor people who went through the Burmese army and overtaking the area, overtaking their land, their crops, and they have to go to different places. And all of the information are in the museum. And that's why I felt that I need to help because I know her too. I know her too, so I wanted to help and get, and I not only I want to help, but doing this with her, I can I learned so much stuff also, and other camps that I didn't know that there were. And I found out that the refugee camp that I was born wasn't even like on the map kind of. It was into like it was somewhere in the jungle. So there was no technology or anything like that, and I didn't even know because I was so small in there.
I think for me was that when I first came to NIU, I think I was the only like Korean student here. So I came here, I started at NIU in 2017. So there weren't, I didn't see or know about like any Korean student if they were here. So when Carla talked about the museum, I thought it was a really great idea, just because, you know, the Korean community, there's not a lot of, you know, they're not well known because if you really think about Myanmar or Burma, you talk about the Burmese people and the other people are just minorities. You know, there's so many minorities in Myanmar. So, you know, with the museum, it kind of helped recognize minority like us and just educating people that there are more than, you know, other minorities out there that, you know, we are unaware about. So, yeah.
When I first went to the exhibit, I felt very peaceful, like, you know, just being there. It reminded me of, you know, where I was from, my home, and I just felt like I was at home. And then to be like involved in this project, I feel really proud. I feel like, you know, my cultural and my heritage is being shown off to the bigger world, like people that doesn't know us. Because like when we told people that we're Korean, they would be like, "Oh, you're Korean?" Like, no, we're Korean. We're a minority from Burma. So yeah, for our cultural, like, you know, the exhibit to be shown off to the school that we're attending, to our like classmates on campus, and to our teachers, like to the staff, to the university, I feel very proud, and like, you know, feel very proud that my culture is showing off, and I feel very happy.
And Suda expressed the same sort of thing, that her heritage was being shown off even by the university at which she's attending. So in the turret that I talked about, it's just called the Huskie Refugees, but in there on the wall, we chose to put a quote on there from Kachamu. And it said, and she said, when I interviewed her a few years ago, she said, "I don't have a goal for myself because I am old and cannot speak English, but I have a hope that my grandchildren will become educated with second educations to get a better job and to have a better life." And I chose to put that quote in there because that was the same thing I heard from almost everybody that I interviewed, because I had to interview all adults, the same sort of sentiment. So my question to you is, you've heard that. How did that play into your life? Is that true? Is that something that you guys feel? So just reflect on that statement a little bit.
It's, well, for me, it's 100% true, because every older generation, the current community that I've known, this is their mindset. They think they won't learn how to speak English anymore, or won't try because they feel old and they won't even try anymore. But this is why they have high standards for us. Sometimes it could be bad, sometimes it could be good, but it is true. And I think we all have a different quote too. And should we share?
Yeah.
And I think mine was related to education. I forgot what I said, but education, it was like education in refugee camp is a dead end. But my family gave up their hope and dream for me to come here and give me a better life. And as long as my curiosity take me, I'll keep going further. And the reason why I said that is because back in refugee camp, like after you graduate from high school, you can't, like, there's there's no paper that's going to give you congratulations, you graduated. There's nothing you can do with that do after graduating. You just have to go work or get a family and have kids, and I don't want that. So coming here, it changed a lot, and I also never thought about going to college. Back then, we didn't even know they have college here in America. So I was introduced to college by Carla, to NIU, and I joked about saying like, one day I'll come to NIU, but I was only joking, but look at where I am right now. I'm here at NIU. But yeah, I never thought I would be able to go to college, but thanks to her, I'm so familiar with NIU, and I'm here now.
Yeah, I definitely felt that quote just because that was something that my mom would always say to me every single day. She's like, we came to America for you to get a better education. So the quote that I came up with kind of was similar to this one. My future is my mom's dream, because I think I was the last of my siblings to not have to worry about the conflict in Myanmar, because I think, what is it, the second old, no, the one before me, she's in her mid-20s. Yeah, she was the last one to still what is it, escape or like migrate to Thailand, or I don't know, running through, I don't know. Yeah, but I didn't really have to, since I am the youngest child, and I didn't really have to go through those struggles. I definitely, felt the quote that I have to succeed, not just for my, my mom, but also for my siblings. So yeah, I feel more. Never mind.
Okay, with the quote that Carla said, growing up, I heard it a lot from my parents because they wanted me, to go to school and get a good education. Like they always wanted me to do good in school, just because they said like, they were old and they cannot, like, it's too late for them to learn English now. So it's like every time a mail or like a document come in the mailbox, they would ask me like, to read it and to translate it. And when I first came to America, it was really hard. Like I really like had to try my best to try to like, translate it. In that time, I didn't even know like every word. Like I still don't know every word in English, but like I didn't even know like half of the stuff that was on the document. But I really like tried my best, and I feel like that's something that they want to see. Like they came here to, they sacrificed a lot. They came here, they went through a lot just so I can have a better education. I can have a better life. So yeah, I definitely felt that quote. Like I said, I completely agree with Lei, Mu, and Pese. Yeah.
One of the things, I've talked to several refugee students over the years, including some that aren't Korean but other refugees, and we've talked about this two sides of this. That as students, you usually understand the privilege of coming to school, but on the other hand, you feel this great burden of not just you succeeding, but succeeding for your family. And if you don't do well on a test, and stuff. And we have talked about that. And I think that shines through in some of your answers as well. Does anybody want to respond to that before we go on to the next question? We're good? Okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I definitely know that I have the privilege that I can attend university and do this and that compared to what my family had to go through. But there is also a burden of having to succeed in the field that I'm going into, and not like if I were to be stressed out, like I can't really complain because I feel like my problem is so little compared to what they had to go through. So yeah.
I feel very privileged like to be here today, to be like at a school because my mom did not have the opportunity to go to school. She does not know how to read or write. So I feel very privileged to be here. And I remember back in like refugee camp, I would watch my mom wash clothing with her own hand. But now we're here with like, all the technologies and the washing machine. So now she don't have to wash clothing with her hands anymore. So yeah.
And just to clarify, your mom doesn't even know how to read and write in her native language. She had no opportunity. So not even just this. So they
For
moved.
me, the answer is like yes and no. I financially I wouldn't be able to come to college, but I work as hard as other students. We apply. I was luckily introduced to a scholarship. So many people applied to it, but I was lucky to be one of the people who got selected because there was so much requirement to do. And the program is called the Give Something Back Foundation. And we have to go through interviews, writing essays and recommendations. And privilege-wise, I feel like that might not like a no because I work hard also for it. But at the same time, thanks to the Give Something Back for giving me this unbelievable opportunity to attend to NIU for 4 years, loan free. Yeah, loan free, no debt. Yeah.
Okay. Talking about your time at NIU, what are some of the challenges you have faced as a student at NIU? It could be anything.
For me, I started last year when COVID hit. So I wanted to be involved and get familiar with more of the NIU area, but COVID hit. So I didn't get to meet people much. The only time I do see people is when I distance away from them to get food. And being away from home, because like I'm always at home. So or in my room doing homework or studying. So being home feels good and not good because when I'm away from home, I have more freedom. I can do more what I want to do. But back then, like I'm more interactive with my family if I'm not doing assignments and stuff. So so yeah. And one thing I do joke about the challenge and I face here is rice.
Yes.
They don't have rice, or they don't cook rice well as how we cooked it. So so that's one of the challenges I face. So I do go back home on weekends to go eat rice.
Mine is very different from him because I go home every single day. And I live here. I live on campus, but I still go home. Like it's only 30 minutes, but yeah.
If she's driving fast.
I think for me, I don't really know. I think maybe when I first came to NIU, I didn't like, and compared to high school, like I didn't really have a lot of course load. So here, being a college student, there was more course load. So that kind of affected my mental health. And I didn't know what mental health was. Because growing up in my community, we don't understand mental health. So if you're going through something like an anxiety or a panic attack, people are thinking you're going crazy. They don't understand that. So I thought I was going crazy until someone told me that, this happens to everyone, that it's okay. So that was something that I had to learn how to not just control, but accept the fact that, everyone has this and, that I'm not going crazy. And yeah.
I completely agree with Tay about mental health. I did not know what mental health is, and I don't think like our parents understand what mental health is. But I'm like used to it now, so I have mental breakdown like every week, like once a week, and I'm like getting used to it. But I think one of the challenges that I face coming to NIU is that like there's not a lot of current students at NIU, so it's kind of like hard to find people who can relate to you or people who have gone through what you gone through. So it's like it's hard to find your belonging at NIU as a current student. And another thing is another challenge is like financial, like my parents are like low income, so but they told me, oh, go to school, we're gonna try everything, we're gonna do everything for you to be happy, to go to school and chase your dream and like make us proud.
And not many of us do tell our parents or family members that we're going through something in our head, because then you will have to explain more further into the thing. So sometimes we just let it go and deal with it ourselves. Yeah.
And then also we've talked about a little bit along with that you're complaining about this and then comparing what they had to go through. It seems sometimes trivial as a student, and it's not, but trying to break that generational barrier down. Sudha talked about even just the simple college student balance. She transferred from a community college, so she came here as a junior, and her first year here was COVID, so she didn't get to interact. So that's a tough transition. And it wasn't like community college. And then this year, when she's back to regular classes, then she's really getting slammed with feeling overwhelmed with the difference in the college level. So that's just some basic college stuff that she had going on. A follow-up question is, do you feel that there are additional pressures on you? Do you feel as a refugee? Oh, these are kind of some first gen things, but even as a refugee, do you feel like there's some additional pressures on you as a student?
For me, yes. Especially college applications and stuff, it's really hard to explain these process and the steps to my family, because some words are very big and they don't understand the process and how to help me through it, but understandable. It's understandable. But luckily for me, I was able to, during Western High School, I was able to reach out to different programs, Trio Upper Bound for high schoolers, and they helped me a lot through filling out FAFSA and college application. That's why I'm here, because of them, and I'm grateful.
Yeah, so like Leimu, I had to figure out everything myself. I was trained since I was a little girl when I first came to the university to help out my family with, appointments and this and that. So yeah, I have been like not forced. I don't want to say forced, but kind of forced to help out with like going to the bank, going to the hospital. So because of that, like when I got to high school, before even filling out my college application, I had to do all of those myself. I had to figure it out myself because I didn't really know who to ask, and my family didn't understand the process. So because I didn't talk to my academic advisor. My counselor either, because I was very shy around like new people. So everything I learned through Google. So yeah, that's how I even got to NIU.
I can relate to what Paige said about, going to a doctor appointment, filling out like bank statement stuff. I'm away from home, like I'm on campus. My parent would still call me and be like, can you read this document? What does it say? Like, I have other siblings at home. Why are you using me? But I feel there is additional pressures. As a refugee, first generation student at college, I feel like I fear a failure and disappointment because my parents have came a long way and they sacrificed so much. So I don't want a disappointment. I feel like I constantly push myself to be, to do good in school. And sometimes I don't give myself a break just because I don't want like to disappoint my parents. But I feel like they're always proud of me.
I also want to say something.
Mhm.
I feel like I feel some type of way too, because the children that are being born in like America, they don't really know the struggles that the ones who were born in the Thailand or Burma had to go through. So I've seen a lot of little kids who was born here, grew up here, and they don't have to go through the things that we had to go through with going to the doctor's appointment or doing this and that. And they're like in their teenage years and they still need guidance and asking their aunt to do this and that. So yeah.
I'm going to surprise you with a question that we didn't prep for. So if you don't want to say anything, that's fine. But in talking to another student a couple weeks ago, he was talking about how, and you've all talked about helping at home and when you left. Do you have any of this balance of not sure what to pursue? If you pursue your dream of an education, that means you're not at home taking care of your parents. Do you ever have this idea of who's going to take care of them if I'm not there? And so how does that play into some of the things that go on?
Yeah, for me, let's just say I was a nurse. I feel like I might want to travel to a border and help around there. But then who's going to take care of my family and me being away already, and they're back there, they're in a which is an hour away. Let's just say the minimum, or 45 minutes.
They live just blocks from each other.
So yes, yeah, being away, like I do have that in the back of my mind. And what was the question again?
It just, how does that play out? I mean, just basically that it does, that you don't know what to pursue. Do you make yourself happy? Do you take care of your parents?
I do both. Sometimes if they do need, they need a lot of translating in my community. So if there's no one, then I'll help. But one dilemma is that I'm at NIU. Sometimes they would try to call someone to see if they could take them to an appointment, and then they would try to call me, but then I have class, and that comes in a way, and I won't be able to help them most of the time. But going back home, I do help take people to doctor's appointment, translate, and stuff like that.
I'm the opposite. I feel like I did my time when I was younger. But anyway, when I'm in school, like when I'm at NIU and I'm not home, my mom and my sister knows. So they don't call me, like they don't even call me to say hi when I'm here or check up on me. So the funny thing is when I'm here, I know they have stuff going on, like going to appointment, going to stores and that, but they don't call me. But then when I go home, like 8 a.m., I'm still sleeping. And then they know I'm home. So they start calling me. It's like, are you awake? Let's go to the store. Let's go to this and that. So I'm like, who did you call when I was at school? And how, like, I don't know, where, like, my like household words get around so fast. Oh, she's home now. And like I go home late at night just so that they don't know. But they still do anyway. Yeah.
I can relate to Faye when she said, like, who did you call when I'm not home? Because when I go home, my parents always uses me like to go to the banks, to go to appointment, to go to the store. And I'm like, yeah, who was doing all this stuff while I'm gone, you know? But before coming to NIU, like before I lived on campus, I like a couple months, like just a couple weeks before I moved in, I was very sad. I was like, oh my gosh, who's gonna be like cleaning or who's gonna be doing the dishes? Because I usually do that because I'm the oldest daughter in my family. But now that I'm here, I feel like I'm used to being away from home because I feel like that's something that my parent would want me to do, like to, you know, to go on and pursue what I want to do so that in the future I could have like, you know, a better life and then possibly like, you know, give back to them. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Hitting back to the scholarship that gave me the scholarship. Their program is called Give Something Back Foundation, and for they want all alumni after they graduate, they want them to give something. And this I can't do much right now since I'm still in school, but the only thing that I could do is translate or take people to an appointment. So this is that's why I can only translate and take people to an appointment or go to the store. This is what I can only offer right now, but after it might go out there broader and more.
Very good. Let's switch gears just a little bit and talk about COVID and how that has affected your college experience.
Last year during COVID, yeah, like I think I mentioned that I really wanted to get involved, be in the college life, lay down in the grass, in the sun, hammock. But I didn't get to do that because, yeah, I also was a little afraid of getting the COVID because I have parents who are old and kids, so I didn't want to bring it back. So I try to distance myself away from people. And yeah, that's one of the
Okay.
dilemma that COVID got me.
It didn't alter any of my college experiences because I've been here before 3 years before COVID hit. So I got to experience everything I needed to as a college student. So I wasn't really affected in terms of college, but within family, definitely. Um, yeah, because I had a grandma who was like in her 100 or something. Um, so it was really scary, but yeah, even with like family wise, I'm always worried because when COVID happened, everything was like everything like at the store, like stuff like toilet paper or rice, they ran out of stock quick. And my mom would be at the store 24/7 looking for this for not just my family member, but for relatives. And I was always worried that she was gonna catch it or something. So that was just, my worries aside from college.
Yeah, COVID had me worried, not like really about myself, but about my family. So I was like really scared, like to go out. And then I was like, what if I catch it and then give it to my family? Like my parents are, they're old. So like it would be easier for them to catch it. So, and then I came here as a freshman, and that was when COVID hit. So I had to do everything online, and I didn't have like the college experience that I wanted. So it was definitely tough because I did like do everything online, get to see my professor, my classmate online, and I didn't get to like go out there and hang out with my friends, like go study together. But this year, as things are opening up and we're all in person, I'm like really happy that I get to see you all and get to see my friends and start hanging out with them, and almost like having the real college experience.
And Sue Dawn mentions because she went to community college first. So she went to 2 years, and then last year was her first year here as her junior year. And she feels like she missed the college experience during that year. So she's trying to cram everything into her senior year. And she's also the one that talked about having a lot harder classes. So this whole balance for her is quite different because she wanted to have that experience, the college experience as well and stuff. During COVID, we heard especially, about the Asian hate. So I'm just going to open that up and have you tell me your experience with Asian hate during COVID.
This year, right now, like I've seen a lot of more Asians, so I'm more comfortable. But last year, I felt like I was by myself. I didn't see no one, no Asians. So I was scared that maybe, who knows, I might get jumped or something. And I was scared of that, especially at NIU. But overall, like I was worried for my parents' sake because they're older, and so many videos are going out there. The vulnerable ones are the older people. So what I did was like when I go back home on the weekend, that's when we go to the store because I don't want them to go by themselves. So I was like, if I'll take the beating instead of them because they're older, I'll try my best to protect them. But that's what I did. Like I didn't want nothing bad to happen to my family or anyone out there. And it's so sad seeing what's happening in the world and how people are treating each other.
Yeah, like Moo, I was more worried about my family, especially how I talked about my mom. She would go to the stores like she would she was not scared. Like I don't know, every time I talked to her about it, she's like, I have nothing to fear. Um, but as her kid, I was scared because I was hearing like scary news. I wasn't worried about my safety just because I know um I'm not the type person to go out. So I wasn't worried about myself as much as I was about my family, especially my mom, because she's in her 60s and she she wasn't working at that time. Yeah, during that time. So she had more free time compared to my other families and relatives to go out and buy this and that for them. So I was always worried that something was going to happen along the way, or I don't know. I think I overthink, even like with driving traffic wise, who's driving her? Is that person good enough? I don't know. But yeah, I'm always scared like that. So I try not to overthink too much about it. And when I'm home, I'm typically the person to, drive my family to things that they need to go to that are further than farther away, so that my worries kind of lessen.
Yeah, I completely agree with both of them. I was very worried about my parents too, because they like to go out alone, like to go to the store alone. I'm always scared because I'm hearing like the news and I'm seeing on social media how, Asian elders getting beat up, like, and get jumped by a lot of people, and they are harmless, and they were like, it's like they couldn't find any help because they were by themselves, and it was very scary, like knowing that my parents can't like go out by themselves all the time. So, and even like with me, and when I go out, I always have to like be careful of my surrounding, because I am like an Asian person, and during that time the Asian hate was going around, so I had to be very careful, and I was also like scared too. But I was more scared for like the elders, because they're defenseless,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, 'cause they can't defend themselves, so I was like very worried about them.
Sudal had an interesting comment when we talked before. She was like, well, I don't feel that way. And I'm going to read what she wrote. In my opinion, the Asian hate during COVID has its pros and cons. Of course, it's horrible that elders and those who can't defend themselves get harassed and beat up for being Asian. But the pro to this is that there were a lot of media coverage on Asian hate, and this brought more awareness to the Asian community. The hate we had to endure, what we go through, and this caused many more people to stand with us and support us. So I thought that was an interesting take on that.
She was completely opposite of me. She just looked at me. She was like, "What about this? What about that?" I'm like, "Oh, right. I didn't thought about that, but we can't move on without the past and stuff." So.
Yes. One of my final questions is, I have talked to you all at length, some of you, anyway, and you've all expressed plans or ideas for the future. And I want the audience to hear some of your hopes and dreams, not what your parents' hopes and dreams are, but your hopes and dreams.
For me, quote, give back. The same as the Give Back Foundation. I want I want to give back to the community by translating, or give back to future, give something back students. Like I want to donate. Like I just want to give back to the community. And this is always going to stay with me forever. That quote, always give back, because I wouldn't be here if the community didn't help me. So always give back.
So somebody did ask me this question a year ago at a youth conference, and one thing I told them that I'm hoping that it doesn't change was starting a scholarship. Well, after I'm like financially like stable, starting a scholarship for the Karen students, or Karen young generation who want to attend college, because I know that it's a lot, like for those who can get FAFSA or you know apply for a scholarship. I kind of want to give back to them by starting a scholarship of my own for the Karen community, and hoping that if it does take off, opening up to the minorities in Myanmar.
So I came to college to pursue a career in accounting. I don't think my parents know what accounting is. I think they knows what teachers, doctors, and lawyers are, and I think that's probably what they want me to pursue. But I did accounting anyway because I follow my heart. But my goal is to give back to them, to give them a life that they couldn't do with themselves. Like I want to make them proud and, make them see that, oh, I have a better life. And that's because of them, because they have sacrificed so much for me. And also I want to let other Korean students know that they can pursue their own goals, not something that their parents want, not just doctor, teachers or lawyers. They can, pursue other goals. There's other careers, in college.
Suda on hers, and this was one of the responses that we love, and I want to make sure that I share it, that she wants to create a life that she says that we really want. And her idea is she wants to sell tropical fruits that aren't known in the US, but is very popular in Thailand and Burma. I want to be able to live a life, to live a farm organic lifestyle. And I want to show other Korean that it's possible to live this way, even in the US. This is the life my parents want to live. And I'm pretty sure many other Korean people would want it also. So she actually wants to do it in Florida and stuff. And I asked this question, it seems pretty blatant, but in talking to them and other students, they're always talking about wanting to give back and to prepare. And I guess I kind of want to close, and I'll ask for more from them, but even these students, as we're preparing for hopefully more Korean students in the future, they are all wanting to do the time and do the effort to create the student organization, the welcoming group, so that future Korean students would have a place to come to here at NIU, even though none of them will ever benefit from it. And that's just kind of been the mantra of a lot of the Korean students that we have seen, is wanting to do something. They have this idea of giving back, of doing more, of preparing something that even they won't be able to experience. So before we go to questions in the audience, I don't know whose that is. Oh, yep. Do you guys have anything any closing thoughts or anything you want to say before we open it up for questions? No? Okay. Are there any questions? At this point, we'll open up questions. Here.
Because I know some, I'll ask you, and also because I know some potential students might be listening, I'll say like and Sue has availed herself of this, but we have fellowship programs at the center, the Foreign Language Area Studies Fellowship that pays to all tuition and fees, and then a living stipend. And you can take a language, one of 6 Southeast Asian languages, not Korean yet, but and so like, yeah, we has financial aid been make or break for college experience? I'm guessing that, but maybe you could
so what
speak
he's
to that.
asking
Like,
is, have there been students that you knew that couldn't come to college because of financial reasons, that if they had a scholarship available to them, they would have pursued their dreams?
Not that I know of, but I had a friend who we heard about this scholarship, and she was the one that told me. But we both applied. We did everything together, but sadly only I was the one that got in. But luckily, she went through. She's attending a community college right now. If she also got the same program as me, she would have been in the same grade with me right now.
Yeah, I don't know anyone.
And part of that answer to that is these are the oldest. So they've got relatives, community members that are now juniors, and I mean, younger sisters and brothers that will need those financial aids.
We have questions from the online audience. The first one is from Jerry Smith. Outside of campus, have you been able to explore the Dekalb community? Do you feel welcomed here? And are you familiar with the belonging initiative between NIU and the Dekalb community?
I did last year. I went to apple picking and there were a lot of people and it was during Asian Hates too. So it was fun apple picking and pumpkin, and there was a big sunflower. I don't know where, but it was like 20 minutes away. So it's not
Kuipers, probably.
probably. So but it was really fun. That's the only one place I've gone outside of campus.
I would say so. Like when I first came to college, I like as I said before, I definitely got my experience because NIU did like a welcome week, and I did live in a dorm at that time. So my CA at that time would take us to a few places. So I got to experience Corn Fest, and then I think joining a student organization, I've been able to go to John and Mac and other places in Dekalb. So I think I got my full share of Dekalb and NIU experience here.
Um, I actually like I've only been around campus and then just go to the stores. So I don't have like any experience in Dekalb outside of campus. But I feel very like belonging at NIU because I'm in a sorority and I'm under student organization. I feel very belonging at NIU. But other than that, I don't think I have experienced like Dekalb outside of the campus.
And I would say that, and yet, I mean, we went to Texas Roadhouse because your roommate works there. So there is, I mean, she has a job there, and you've been there, and I mean, and so there's a little bit more than just staying in your apartment. So.
Okay, one of the question I have for the three of you and for the Karen young community, besides scholarship, which is essential, and the Karen Association group for students, you were happy to see and to give a voice to the Karen community through the exhibition. So my question is, how do you foresee us continuing giving voice to the Karen history, to the Karen cultures, to the various minorities, knowing that we are the recipient and the repository of Burmese cultures in general, the multiple groups from Burma?
Does that make sense?
A little. So
what can we do as NIU to carry forward?
yeah, so I think with the museum, I know it's closing soon, right? But one thing for bringing awareness to the current community is I think one thing in mind is collaborating with different organizations on campus or other centers, just to showcase more awareness. It's not something big, but it's like it's a step forward to raising like a bigger picture, or I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Or like having like student panel like this, like once a year, with the and with the exhibit, like open it once a year and then having a student panel and then having other student come out and learn more about the Karen community and have like different student on the student panel talking about their experience. I think that's gonna help spread the word about the Karen community.
I've known her probably more than them. So this exhibit like is a big step. It's a big step out there. And without you guys, it wouldn't be possible, or people won't even be knowledge about it. Like you probably all know that the current community is so thankful for giving us a voice. You guys just give us a voice because without you guys, we're voiceless. So you guys give us a big voice.
Okay, we've got a couple more online ones as well.
Thank you. So speaking of giving the community a voice, being as so many members of the Karen community do get their start in Thailand, right? And as a professor of the Thai language, what would you like to have taught in Thai language classes, right? So we teach about people of Thailand, geography of Thailand, all these things, but Thailand is not just Thai people, right? And two of you are my students. So what would you like to see taught in the Thai language program or the Thai studies program about your community? Because it's about as much about you than it is about Thai people.
I think that, well, I'm in your beginning Thai class, so I'm still like trying to learn, like, the numbers and the alphabet. But I feel like geography of Thailand and where, like, where we're from, like the refugee camp. I think that would be a great way to show where we're from, and to just teach other students about the current people that lives in Thailand, like that's also like part of Thai, it's part of Thailand. So like maybe like our culture and stuff. I mean, we're still in like the beginning Thai class. So,
So I think hitting on her, like I would like to know like the group's names, because I actually met a worker here that's a Thai speaker, and I was like, I'm from Thailand. She's just start saying something in Thai. I'm like, I'm a beginner in Thai. So she kept trying to like minimize the level, but I was like, oh, I know Chu. So, so my name's Lei and stuff. But like knowing like is tribe, not a tribe. So like a group of people like
Ethnic
Karen,
group.
yeah, ethnic group. She said, I was like, I'm Karen, and she said something like, oh, you're this, like a name, but I forgot what it is. I think if I knew other groups like the Hmong and stuff, I think it'll be cool.
Okay, we have a couple of online questions as well.
All right. So another one is from Obamo Aungtamo. It's a Burmese student. According to your experience, what do you want to suggest the young people who are currently struggling in Burma, as well as in refugee camps in Thailand?
I can go. In Burma or like in refugee camp, I know they don't have like so much opportunity, but I feel like hearing about what's going on in Burma like a couple months ago, that was really sad. With how they had to run away from where they live. But what's the question? Like
what would you
what's-
say to
what would-
the young people then?
Oh,
back
I
then?
say that anything is possible. Just keep on trying to I guess just trying to pursue your dream and never give up, because like anything is possible. I know we don't have like the same experience, but there's always like a way. There's always like a way, just trying to pursue your dream and just never give up.
It is a hard question. It is a different experience. Anybody else have another question? Okay, we've got another online
Okay,
question.
yeah. And actually, it has two more questions, but yeah, let's see where we can go. Also, what is the most important lessons you've learned in refugee camp that is still useful to your time in the US and as an international student?
Education is very important, because back there, people won't tell you to go to school, or people because what are you gonna do? Like I said in the beginning, what are you gonna do with your degree or certification? There's nothing you can do, and you can't go out. You can't go in Thailand or in Burma because you're blocked and they won't let you in. So most of the time you're just working. But yeah, I liked education back there. I liked it. I wasn't worried. I didn't know about the after. I wouldn't like what would I have done if I was still there. But like coming here, like education is very important and it's key.
What was the question? Sorry.
What's the most useful thing that you learned
in the refugee camp and that you still use today?
I think for me, that's a hard question. Yeah, that's a hard question because all I remember when I went to school and the camp that I grew up in was that I get in trouble for not even being the person who started the whatever it got us in trouble. Like I remember that this person, I actually don't remember the full story, but this guy was doing something and basically we all got in trouble. And I was telling the teacher it was not my fault. But yeah, she got like what is it? A stick, and then had us like take out our hand, and then she would like slap the stick, hit our hand for like each of the students that were in the class. So I just learned to like just be like with America, like the school system is different, and I know if I don't do anything, I'm not gonna get in trouble. So like for me, I guess I just learned to stay quiet and be respectful.
I guess I've learned to be a good student because, like Paige said, like back in refugee camp, the teacher can hit you like if you're doing something wrong, and I have learned that the hard way. I used to get hit a lot by teachers. I'm not a bad kid, but I tend to like talk back to the teacher a lot. I usually like not listen, but sometimes I didn't. So I got hit a lot. And yeah, like Paige said, with being here, even if you're doing something wrong, you not getting hit, you're just probably gonna get a detention and stuff. But I've still like, even if there's no hitting, I still like try to be a good student and follow the rules because I don't want to get in trouble with my parents. I don't know if they'll hit me now, but I still though I've learned that to listen to teachers, to be respectful and be humble. Like I know being here, I have so much more like privilege and much more opportunities than being back in refugee camp. So I've always learned to like be respectful to teachers and be humble. So yeah.
Same thing to them. I've seen a lot of people get hit. Not me though, because I was a good student, and I'm always doing what the teachers are saying, what we have to do. So I see a lot of people getting hit in the stick, and you have to hold your ears and squat down, up and down, up and down. For sometimes it could be up to 50, but that wasn't me because I was a good one.
Any other questions? That'll be our final question.
I would like to know that since your family and your relative moved here to the US, but you probably have some relatives and some neighborhoods who stay, like some neighbors who still stay there in the camp. Do you still stay connected to those people? And how?
This is an easy question.
Yeah, definitely. I have my sister, she's the only sister left that is still back in Thailand. And she has 4 kids. I'm really bad. It's so I'm close to basically all of my sisters here in America because I've seen them, but I also came to America at a pretty young age. And my sister, the one back in Thailand married, she married at a young age too. So I didn't really have that full connection with her. So when we came to America, she was left behind with her kid. I just remember she was at the hospital because her daughter was sick. But I don't keep in contact with her as much, but she does keep in contact with my mom because she needs financial support. Just because with COVID and stuff, they have less restriction, especially in Thailand. Their protocol or regulation is pretty stern with, walking outside your house. And my sister, I think she has, I don't know if she still has it. She says something about losing it, but she was born in Burma. So she has a Burma citizenship or something. So she doesn't have the Thai, is it Thai visa? Yeah, and it's actually pretty costly. So she doesn't have that. So she doesn't have access to go to different cities, or yeah, we
Mhm.
call it cities. But yeah, my family do keep in contact with
And
her.
how do you keep in contact?
Oh, one of the best thing is Facebook.
Yeah.
Facebook is life changing because, yeah, when they first started their develop their messenger, that was how we got to talk and see each other's face, because I know in the past they didn't have that. But yeah.
Yeah, actually most of my family members, like my relatives, they actually right now they actually live in Burma, so not in Thailand. I do have like a couple relatives that live in Thailand. One of my cousins go to a university in Thailand. She would like FaceTime me, but I would be sleeping, and she would be like, because the different time zone, I'm like sleepy. This is 6 a.m. in the morning, and it would be like 6 p.m. over there, and she would be free, and I would be like, I'm sleepy, and then she would want me to like help her with like her English homework and stuff. But from like my aunt, and actually my grandma actually still lives in Thailand, but from my aunts and uncles that lives in Burma, it's hard to be in contact with them, and because they live in Burma and they don't have like telephone, they don't have like the service, they would have to like travel all the way to Thailand just so they can talk to us. And then when they get there, we would be like sleeping, but we have to like
Wake up and talk
wake
to
up
us.
because they have like they travel really far to like to talk to us. So yeah, we have to like be considerate of with the things that they go through. But yeah, like Paige said, we do all that through Facebook, like through the Facebook Messenger.
Even though they have Messenger, you can't just call them anytime because service over there is really bad. So you rarely call them. But the only time you call them is when they, like, while we can sit our butt on a couch, they had to climb up the mountains at the peak to get cracky service. But if they're down there, there's no service, so they have to put a lot of labor work just to call us and talk. But for me, I don't know anyone in Burma or Thailand. Like when I left, I didn't even tell my friends I left, but when they come to Minnesota, they remember me, but I don't remember them. But my parent does have siblings back there that she wished to go back, but due to COVID and what's happening in Burma right now, she can't.
It's funny, this perspective, because I have known Lei Mu for a long time, and I know his extended family, and he says, I don't know anybody, and I can name a list of the long people that his family actually knows and contacts with quite often. So it's also a perspective. So there is an extensive family family connection, and Facebook, and the all-important Facebook Live. Everything is multiple Facebook Live. So every birthday, everything is broadcast, so that it's another way to share. So we're past time. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll have Joe close us out.
Let's see if I can get a video camera going again. Okay, thanks. So let us thank our guests, Lei Mu, Paise, Sepal, and our discussion moderator, NIU Anthropology alumni, Carla Finley.